Hey guys, so I wanted to do this short video as a prerequisite before you travel to Marrakesh. I just returned from Marrakesh. So before I was leaving, a lot of people were questioning, should I even go? Was it a good idea to go? And I know that there are a lot of you guys in similar situations. You have plans to travel to Marrakesh or go on a holiday to Marrakesh or any of the surrounding cities in Morocco. And now post-earthquake, you don't really know if you should be traveling or exactly how safe it is to travel to Marrakesh. So stay tuned and we're going to talk about if it's safe to travel to Marrakesh right now or not. And the answer may actually surprise you. So, as most of us know, on September 8th, Marrakesh was hit with a 6.8 magnitude earthquake. A lot of you guys may be thinking, based on what you saw on the news, that it's not safe to go there, that the city is in shambles. And while some areas were affected by the earthquake, that actually couldn't be farther from the truth in regards to Marrakesh. So keep in mind, everything that I'm going to highlight in this video is specific to Marrakesh. So before you even get on here and say that's not true, or this village was affected, that village was affected, I'm speaking specifically to the tourist city of Marrakesh, because that's where most people are going to head to. If you're a tourist going to Morocco, you're probably going to go to Marrakesh. You may go to some of the outlying cities or coastal cities like Casablanca and things like that. But in this video, I'm just going to be specifically speaking to Marrakech City. Now, most of us probably have seen on the news what looks like total destruction, but I want to highlight just a few basic pieces of information that they didn't exactly clarify on the news. The news is made to be salacious and make you click and make you view. So part of that is understood, but I think knowing a lot of the information, you might actually make a different decision when it comes to taking a holiday to Marrakesh right now or not. So first, we're going to start with the facts that the earthquake didn't actually hit in the city of Marrakesh. Yes, it was felt in the city area of Marrakesh, but the worst of it was actually in the Atlas Mountain areas, 40 minutes to an hour outside of the city. Once you journey to that region, that's where you're going to see a lot of homes in shambles, some fallen, some not, but you're going to see a lot of people living in temporary housing and things like that. So, because those were the people who were really hit significantly by this earthquake. Again, it was felt in Marrakesh, in the city of Marrakesh, but most of the city is actually perfectly fine. And of course, you don't want to be insensitive. You don't want to go there if it's just a total disaster. You also don't want to go there if you don't feel safe. But I rest assured you that everything in the city is pretty much business as usual. A lot of the museums and things like that are still open, so it is perfectly safe to visit Marrakesh. Before I left, I messaged my hotel. They sent me tons of pictures and videos letting me know that everything was safe, and I was so relieved to see that once I arrived, they were in fact correct. And it is actually perfectly safe to travel to Marrakesh right now. Now, of course, that's not going to be 100% across the board, or you may have to alter your plans a little bit. But in this video, I'm going to kind of explain what's open, what's not, what's safe to do and what's not. And based on your itinerary or what you plan to do in Marrakesh, of course, it's up to you to decide if that's still a journey that you want to take or not. But in general, it is safe to travel to Marrakesh, and just about everything is still open. So let's go over a few main topics that people are going to want to know. Is Marrakech City safe right now? Yes, it is. It's very safe in the city. Most things are open, still functioning as usual. When you're walking around, you will see that things are business as usual. Hotels are safely open. Tours are still going on. The riads are still in full function. Even the souks are open. People are selling things. People are performing. Things are pretty much business as usual in the city of Marrakesh. Now, next, again, while the earthquake did hit in Marrakesh, the vast majority of the earthquake, or the epicenter of the earthquake, was in the Atlas Mountain regions. That's where it's going to be most affected. So if you plan, like me, on having most of your itinerary actually be in the city of Marrakesh, where you have like the YSL Museum, Jardin Majorelle, things like that, you will actually be perfect okay. Only a few museums and, hot spots that you may have wanted to go to may not currently be open. I'm going to insert a list at the end of this video of every museum that is currently open right now and the ones that are not. The only, few places that are affected majorly were things like, of course, their temple was cracked a little bit. So the major mosque that you're going to see that everybody's going to want to take you to, it had a little bit of cracking in the foundation. So you'll notice that that's not currently open to go inside right now, but you can still see it from the outside. And you'll see them actually actively working to fix that and repair that foundation right now. Also, Bahia Palace is one of those places that also is not open right now because a little bit of the wall surrounding it and close to it was a little bit damaged. You'll also notice that places like Dar el Baka and Baka Coffee are not open right now, again, because minor damage was sustained just to the foundation and the wall near some of these places. So they're not open there, but there are still plenty of tourist attractions that are actively open right now. I was able to go to Jardin Margarel, the YSL Museum. I was able to go to so many other different places that were perfectly fine. Ben Yusuf was still open. So all these major tourist attractions were open, and a lot of the coastal cities you can still actively visit right now, and it's perfectly fine. Now, next we're going to talk about the most important question, and probably the question that you have right now if you have vacation planned to Marrakesh. Should you visit Marrakesh right now? That's a complicated question because the answer can vary from person to person, but to me, honestly, my answer would be yes for multiple reasons. Number one, it is safe to travel to Marrakesh right now. I think that's a separate question. But if you should, really depends on you. It depends on what your itinerary or plans were for Marrakesh. And honestly, it depends on, just what kind of person you are and how you feel about it. Honestly, I get that you don't want to be insensitive. You don't want to do anything like that. And you're wondering if it's even a good idea to go because of what some people in Marrakesh are going through right now. But I would encourage you to think about the other side of that. Yes, while some people unfortunately lost their homes and belongings, and even some people, unfortunately, their lives during this earthquake, there are other people who did not. If you 100% withdraw tourism, that affects everybody. And the other people who are still there working at hotels, driving, doing tours, things like that, they are losing all of their income if everybody cancels. I was there and my Riyadh was fully booked before I came. Not so much when I got there. Tons of people from the Riyadhs that I stayed at, to drivers, to tour guides, were telling them that they've had just hundreds and thousands of cancellations after the earthquake. Even my flight to Marrakesh was significantly empty. I was surprised by how empty that flight was. I would dare say it's the most empty flight I've ever been on. They're dealing with tons of cancellations right now. And again, while you don't want to be insensitive, you also don't want to end up hurting them in other ways. If everybody cancels, that means no one's visiting. Now, again, I get that nobody wants to be insensitive, but if everybody cancels, then all of that money from tourism is then gone. Tourism is their number one economy there. So all of those people who work in hotels and are drivers and things like that, they're not making any money. They're not doing any tours. They're not getting any tips or anything like that. So even people who work in like co-ops and things like that, they have special shops and things that are just for widowed women, divorced women, single mothers, things like that. If there are no tourism to visit these spots, then we're hurting everybody in Marrakesh even more. So I actually think that it is a good idea to keep your plans if you feel comfortable enough. It's perfectly safe. And if you didn't plan to go to the Atlas or the mountain region at all and do any hiking out there, then the earthquake really won't have too much of an effect on your actual travel plans there. And you also can take the opportunity while you're there, if you do visit, to see how you can help people in the Atlas Mountains who are affected by the earthquake, and see what type of assistance you can give them and resources that you can lend, whether it's clothes or monetary assistance. Whatever you can do would also be a big help to them, rather than completely withdrawing and just pretending like Marrakesh doesn't visit at all. Marrakesh is still a very busy and active city with a ton of people in it who are still living their everyday lives despite this earthquake. And again, none of us want to be insensitive to this situation or the effect that it has had on people who have lost their homes. their lives and people that they love very dearly. I actually asked, a few of my drivers how they felt about tourism, and astoundingly across the board, everybody said they still wanted people to come. They did not want people to cancel. I would suggest contacting your riad or your hotel if you have any questions. Right now, a lot of the airlines are letting you make changes to your itinerary if you see that that's necessary. But I simply reached out to my hotel and inquired about the state of Marrakesh right now based on what I was seeing on the news. And I was surprised at their reaction. They were like, it's fine. They sent me photos, they sent videos. So I would suggest everybody doing the same. If you have travel plans and you aren't sure, or you feel kind of on the fence about if you should continue your travels to Marrakesh or not, reach out to your tour guides, confirm all of your tours or activities that you planned on doing are still actively running right now, and ask your hotel if they're still in working order, which they should be. And I'm sure that they will confirm that for you any way that you see fit. So overall, if you are wondering if you should travel to Marrakesh right now, or if it's safe to travel to Marrakesh right now, the answer from me is yes, yes, and yes. Please go visit. The city is just one of the favorite places I've ever visited, even with the minor closures and things like that are going on. It was still an amazing trip. All of my tours and plans that I had, I was still able to do everywhere I wanted to go, except for like one place was still open. So it's definitely recommended to go right now. If you did plan on going to the Atlas Mountains, and maybe you just might want to, adjust your itinerary a little bit. But if you're planning on being in the city most of the time like me, then you would be perfectly fine, and you can still go on day trips to other cities as well. Stay tuned for the Marrakesh vlog because it will be up shortly, but I wanted to let you guys know that it is safe to visit Marrakesh, and you should absolutely go. And I hope to visit many more times in this life. Inshallah. Bye, guys.